Japan's national lunch is not sushi. It is not ramen. It is a tray, a flat lacquer tray with small compartments, steaming rice in a bowl, a main dish, miso soup, pickles, everything separated and in its place. It looks organized because it was designed for efficiency and not for tradition. Factories and offices in the mid-20th century needed workers who could be fed quickly and return to their desks swiftly. This tray system spread from canteens to restaurant chains to the convenience store bento that is sitting under bright lights right now. Every school canteen in Japan traces back to this tray. But what if the national lunch was designed to survive something harder than a workday? Mexico. Everyone thinks Mexican food means tacos. Tacos are a street food snack. The true national lunch is called comida corrida and is a complete multi-course meal, eaten slowly between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. First soup, then rice, then a main course. It has been the largest meal of the day for a very long time, and the colonial schedule that arrived with the Spanish settlers only entrenched this further. Small family restaurants, known as fondas, still run on this rhythm today. Tourists eat tacos at midday and never learn that this other world exists. Great Britain. The ploughman's lunch feels old. Crusty bread, a thick wedge of cheddar, a jar of dark pickle on a wooden board. It sounds like something English farmers have been eating for hundreds of years, but the named version, the packaged idea of a ploughman's lunch as a traditional meal, was largely created by a marketing campaign in the 1960s to sell more cheese. The ingredients have older roots, but the identity was deliberately constructed. British pub culture has adopted it so completely that today it can be found on every menu and in every supermarket, and no one questions it. Vietnam. Vietnam's everyday national lunch has no clean English translation. Com Bien Don roughly translates to food for common people. The price is kept low, not by law, but by an unspoken agreement between the cooks and their neighborhood. If you walk in at 11:30 a.m., there is a glass cabinet of pre-cooked dishes, a large ladle of steamed rice on every tray, and a queue that forms quickly. By 1 p.m., the best dishes are gone. This system emerged after the war from the street food economy in southern Vietnam and slowly spread across the entire country. No reservations, no app, you just have to turn up on time. Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, the bread is the plate. Injera is a large, spongy, sour flatbread, and it covers the entire eating surface. The stews and lentils, called wat, go directly on top. You tear off pieces of the bread and use them to scoop up the food. There is no cutlery. The sour taste comes from fermentation, which usually takes about 3 days before the bread is ready. The grain used to make injera is grown in the Ethiopian highlands, with records showing it has been for thousands of years. One injera on the table, everyone tucks in together. Sweden. Sweden made an affordable lunch a part of government policy. During the labor reforms in the 1960s, the government pushed for subsidized lunches for workers, which is a main reason why the Dagens meaning dish of the day, can still be found in almost every Swedish restaurant. Fixed price, clean plate, bread, salad, and a drink included. It was not an offer that restaurants invented to attract customers. It was integrated into the culture from the top down. The chalkboard is put out at midday. Lunch happens. The ritual is protected. Spain. Spain's national lunch consists of 3 courses plus bread and often a glass of wine, all at a reasonable price. A small chalkboard outside reveals what is on the menu today. Workers fill long tables around 2 p.m. And the famous afternoon siesta is not about laziness. Going straight back to work after a full 3-course meal is genuinely difficult. This reality was written into labor regulations in the mid-20th century. Tourists who turn up at midday are too early and miss the whole thing. The menu del dia is what actually keeps the country running at lunchtime. South Korea. The Korean lunchbox has a complicated history. In the 1960s to 1980s, the box you brought to school said everything about your family. An elaborate dosarak with variety and color meant money. Plain rice with kimchi in a tin box meant the family was just making ends meet. The format stemmed partly from Japanese colonial influence, mixed with Korean staples, and spread because factory workers needed something to take with them. Today, that same tin box is a premium product. Gourmet Dosserac delivery services look beautiful on social media and cost many times the original. The box that once represented hardship now signifies style. Brazil. Brazil's working lunch is called prato feito, which means ready plate. And it is so uniform that you can order it in any city in the country and get almost the same meal. Rice, beans, a protein, a small salad, and farofa, a golden toasted flour served dry and crumbly as a side dish. Beans are poured over the rice. The plate is always piled high. It originated from rural worker culture and moved to the cities with the workers. In most places, it still costs very little. It is treated less like a menu item and more like a fundamental right. Turkey. Many Turkish workplaces, schools, hospitals, and government buildings still have their own kitchens and their own chefs preparing lunch on site every day. The tradition dates back to the kitchen culture of the Ottoman palaces, which slowly became part of everyday institutions. There are large steel pots, long queues at the ladle, trays, and soup always comes first. Not turning up for lunch is a bit strange. Skipping it seems antisocial. The kitchen is not a perk. It is simply a part of how the building functions. France. France has actual rules for what a school lunch must include. Multiple courses are mandatory. A cheese course is mandatory. A simple sandwich does not meet the standard. Even school canteens convey a tablecloth feeling with a small salad before the main course and a cheese board afterwards. The idea that lunch is a cultural event and not just a meal goes back centuries in France. French workers take noticeably longer lunch breaks on average than most of their neighbors in Europe. Lunch is not something to be rushed. USA, America is one of the few wealthy countries where eating lunch at your desk is seen as a good thing. Some surveys suggest that more than half of office workers regularly eat without leaving their workspace. Takeaway containers on the keyboard, plastic fork, no eye contact. A delivery industry worth tens of billions of dollars exists largely because of this habit. It emerged from the work culture of the 1980s. The notion that being busy was a virtue in a tech industry that made skipping breaks look like dedication. No one passed a law making this the norm. It simply became the culture. India. Mumbai has a lunch delivery network that routes hundreds of thousands of home-cooked meals across the city every day using bicycles, trains, and handovers on railway platforms. No GPS, no software, just color-coded chalk marks on stacked tin boxes telling each courier where the box goes next. The system began in the late 19th century to bring food from home to factory workers who did not want canteen food. It became a case study for business schools. According to some reports, over 200,000 lunches were moved through the system daily almost flawlessly. People figured it out before the invention of computers and never stopped. Peru. Peru's national lunch often begins with ceviche, which sounds like dinner, but works at midday because it is one of the fastest real dishes in the world. Raw fish, citrus juice, red onions, a little chili, and the acid does all the cooking in under 10 minutes. The technique has its roots in coastal fishing culture and goes way back, and it changed its form after Spanish contact brought limes into the mix. Lima became one of the most respected food cities on earth. Ceviche traveled with that reputation. Egypt. Egypt's national lunch consists of pasta, rice, lentils, chickpeas, fried onions, tomato sauce, and vinegar, all in one bowl. And it really shouldn't work, but it does. It has been found on the streets of Cairo for over 150 years. The bowl is built upside down, pressed into layers, then flipped over and finished with a crown of crispy onions. Some accounts link it to Indian and British trade routes. Others say it emerged from mixing Italian pasta with local ingredients. There are shops that sell only koshari and nothing else, and they are packed every day at lunchtime. Nigeria. Nigerian jollof rice is called party jollof, even when there is no party, because for a long time the smoky, tomato red rice only appeared at celebrations. The most prized part is the dark layer at the bottom of the pot, where the rice catches and goes crispy. Some records trace the dish back to the Jollof Empire in West Africa, from where it spread across the region over centuries. The debate between Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal over whose jollof is the best is no joke. It is a genuine, ongoing rivalry with dedicated fans on the internet. Diaspora restaurants on multiple continents serve it as their main dish. Japan. Ramen is not originally Japanese. It comes from Chinese wheat noodle traditions brought to Japan by immigrant communities in the early 20th century. After the Second World War, it almost disappeared. What saved it was cheap flour from American post-war aid that flooded the country. People figured out what they could do with it. Instant ramen followed in 1958. Then fresh ramen became a craft, then prestigious, then museum-worthy. Some ramen shops today have waiting lists that stretch for months. A food that began as a means of survival became one of the most revered dishes on the planet. Bolivia. Bolivia's most popular lunch is no longer sold after midday. The salteña is a folded pastry filled with a dark, juicy stew. And when you bite into it, the liquid pours out and you have to hold it over your hand to catch the drips. The shops open in the morning and close by midday. Legend has it that the recipe came from a woman who traveled from the Argentine city of Salta in the 19th century, and Bolivians made it their own so much that it became a national symbol. The bakeries built their entire business around a 3-hour window. After 12 p.m., the doors close. If these global lunch traditions have changed the way you look at your midday meal, please subscribe to the channel and give it a like. We uncover the history and culture that often goes unnoticed in our daily lives. Let's nourish the future together. The next culinary treasure will be revealed soon.